We've got 2 packages. I already tried to open this one yesterday with my hands and failed, so we're going scissors on this one right away. And we're, of course, doing this very carefully. This is a Right Stuff package, so let's see, I think the contents probably Asterisk War Volume 2, if I'm remembering right. I'm more challenging myself than anything, I guess. And what's the first season about? So it looks about right. I'm not seeing anything else in there. Just the thing to be careful of is behind all of these, it's the receipt with the address, and I don't want that. Content-wise, interesting. I kind of wonder what this is about. There's something about it that's soothing. Yeah, that's Asterisk War Blu-ray Volume 2. There we go, right on the back. And then we've got this big guy here. There's most of the other of this week's stuff. There we go. But there are a couple of other things to cover real quick, assuming I can pick them up. That gets added to the pile. I did get Independence Day Resurgence, just because, I don't know, my brother probably needs to see it. It's not horrible so much as it's just a lot of squandered potential. Obviously I got Pokemon Sun and Moon. I also decided to get the only My Railgun OST so I could rip it and have the MP3. I know I could probably just like download it or get the or maybe even rip the YouTube video which had the, I don't know. Anyways, Ultimate Otaku Teacher. It was supposed to come out yesterday, but I guess I want to set that there. But it got delivered the day after, so oh well. Oof. Getting into it, let's see. Region A. Yeah, that's English dub. One neat teacher. And I wonder if this is probably what I'll watch next, unless I can remember what I had seen of Asterisk War, if anything. Maybe that, I don't know. I guess Prison School is a curiosity. This seems to be, I guess maybe not necessarily referenced a lot so much as it has a presence. Kind of feels like it maybe because it's an edgy show, but I'd have to actually watch it to find out. Did I? Yeah, Region A, English done. But, you know, sometimes I have to watch it to really make sure. There's some where I thought they're edgier than they are, and they aren't. Sometimes I get the wrong ideas about shows, and, oh, I don't know. Only time would tell if this one is what I think it is, which, probably, I get the impression it's maybe more of a BDSM sort of fantasy sort of thing. I don't know. Good luck, Ninomiya-kun, the complete series. This is a Funimation release, but I do believe this is subtitle only. In fact, I also believe this is DVD only. And there's a lot of ecchi on it, of course. So it's 1 through 12 on 2 DVDs. It says complete series, so I guess it must be a 12-episode series. Not that it matters, either way I'd be getting it. I just don't know if I get it. It's definitely got some provocative imagery, but jeez, it only gets worse on the inside in that regard. Assuming you would call that thing worse. I think that's supposed to be the selling point of this show, so it's probably not that highly rated, but you know, it's still kind of nice to get access to anime. Here we have Gatchaman Crowd's Insight, or Insight Crowd's Gatchaman. Now I kind of feel like I sorry, I'm going for the thing to give a little thing. Anyways, this seems that sort of rant feels very angry video game nerdish. I didn't look at the back of this. Well, I guess I want to open it and shut it first. So region A only, English dubbed, so it's consistent with the first season. I remember the first season being dubbed. I don't remember. It's hard to say if the dub was necessarily good, but the underlying show itself was quite entertaining. So, we just need to ask the plastic nicely to come off. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, I guess I'm trying to decide where this falls on the spectrum of things I want to watch. And I got that. That's upside down. These are kind of busy images. So I'm kind of curious what they did for the art here. It looks like the first disc art's the same, so then this second Blu-ray art is going to be the same as the last. So the last first discs are the same, last discs are the same. We have Insight Crowd's Gatchaman, yes. Aquarion logos, region A English dub, which I'm guessing is related to the other Aquarion one shows, series in some way, but I don't know. I have to watch it, research it to find out. And the truth of the matter is, still just trying to, this is the DVD. Did they switch DVDs and Blu-rays? Like they used to put Blu-rays first and now they put the DVDs first and they keep turning these upside down? I don't know. It's Aquarion logos. Then, last but not least, we have the Asterisk War Volume 2, which was the first thing I opened up and mentioned, and the last thing I'm actually opening up and mentioning, I guess. So this is an Asterisk War sandwich, I guess. Or at least this part of the video is. We don't need that. We do, however, take a look at the full thing. First of all, Japanese and English audio, English and Spanish subtitles. So I guess this was dubbed. Remember her? Okay, yeah, I'm kind of remembering. This one had that piece of shit uncle. Yeah, the oh, how dare you get in the middle of family fights? Well, if you don't want people to be in the middle of it, you shouldn't make it in the middle of things, you stupid ass. I don't know. I'm vaguely remembering bits and pieces of this show. I have to decide how much I want to watch it. The fact that it's dubbed means that it should be pretty good for watching. If I don't care what I'm seeing and where the direction of the show goes, then I have Pokemon. I love being able to be playing Pokemon again. The only problem is I'm going to get to the 6th Gen's version of the Battle Tower, get stuck again, and because I didn't finish my database, now I have an entire 7th generation to add data for. And it gets so much more complicated. Like, American Limited Edition, Blu-ray Volume 2, proof of purchase. Let's get this out of the way, and this week's anime DVD collection update. Alright, well, for starters, I did forget to mention last week I had watched One Piece Season 8 Voyage 4. It was okay, I guess. It's definitely not some of One Piece's stronger materials, but it's also nothing I would say is objectively bad. It was just, I guess, you kind of watch it and you're kind of hoping for a little bit more, I guess, mind-blowing world development sort of stuff. And I don't know. Again, it wasn't necessarily a bad episodes. It was flashback episodes to stuff from Luffy's childhood, basically. So it's nothing about the stuff we've already seen. It's an attempt to fill in details, but at the same time, you know, things like that can be they can feel a little tedious just because sometimes you don't really need to know the complete backstory for some characters. And One Piece definitely likes to give a lot of story for the characters, and that can be a nice thing. In this case, I don't know. It's not that it was necessarily bad so much as I guess it just didn't hit home this time. And I resumed watching Strike the Blood, or continued watching it, and I don't know, it kind of started pissing me off more and more after the point I had watched to last week. And I guess what generally happened is they introduced more and more female characters, felt the need to do more and more things to the main character, and for the most part, our main girl love interest is an abusive piece of crap. I mean, her attacking him aside, she's pretty deliberately gaslighting. If you've not heard the term, maybe I'm not getting it exactly right, but it's basically making people, well, at a minimum, she's trying to make him apologize for things that not only weren't his fault, but that he didn't do, and it's like, she's controlling. She's one of those, I complained about this in another anime, about girls that punish the main character for being interested in other girls, even though they haven't officially decided to say that they're dating him, so they're being control freaks. It's really painful to just watch it, and the problem is that outside of that, the anime, I don't know. Again, part of the problem is this is following up Overlord, which kind of showed what a powerful character who's really awesome and audience satisfying without actually wearing out his presence over an entire 13 episodes can be like. But with this one, you know, the entire one it talks about overwhelming vampire power, but I think I talked about this, or maybe I didn't talk about this. See, there's this interesting thing about Strike the Blood versus Overlord, where the state of change of the main character, this guy becoming a vampire, for example, it's core to what this anime is about, and yet it is very immaterial to his basically what happens, I guess. It's like you don't feel like you're watching a vampire thing until it's like he decides to need to bite something. He doesn't feel like a vampire for the vast majority of this show. Even when he's like using his overwhelming vampire power, he just kind of feels like, I don't know, someone was given fake powers. And then, you know, it just brings up questions about, okay, if he's a fourth progenitor, then who is that person that was before him who wasn't a fourth progenitor or something? It's like, apparently all of her familiars were completely powerful, but his that he inherited from her are more powerful somehow. It kind of, it feels off, where like the fact that he's a vampire is created as important to the story but isn't important to the character, I guess. Whereas Overlord, the fact that he's an undead is important to the character but not really important to the story. I mean, because they could have done this, you know, something along the same lines of really powerful character but made him not be an undead. But they, you know, that anime, by making it part of the character, actually makes it interesting, whereas this one, it's a little underwhelming, I guess. Like, it's got a lot of those elements of the harem anime, harem battle anime stuff, which can be enjoyable. And, of course, there's the quotable meme, "No senpai, this is our fight," which, of course, is stupid, but, you know, it's kind of fun because it's stupid. And, you know, like, fun because of stupid things, if I'm talking about Overlord, like the facial reactions of that one-head NPC lady, that's a really good example of funny because it's stupid, but that one's kind of funny because it's stupid in the moment, whereas this one takes a little while for you to realize, "No senpai, this is our fight," is kind of, I don't know, this amusing thing. Next up, I finished watching Charlotte. I think the person who made this is also the person who made, I don't know what that number is, the person who made Angel Beats, and so I think there's some similarities between them. the change in pacing of this one that happens is actually kind of refreshing. Like, there was some of it that happened in the first half, and some of it that happens here in the second half, and it keeps it from, I guess, being an anime that's held down by what it's defined itself as. So this one, I wouldn't be surprised if people actually really like it, because it does some interesting things with the main character. I complimented it a lot last time, because it's like, you know, it's not too common that they make their main character an actual asshole or something like that. And he kind of was, but also not like a super inherently bad person, but I don't know. The kind of person that I guess they could have molded into the stereotype, but didn't have the... They didn't let the series reach the point where that was necessary, I guess. But I decided to follow that up with a Castletown Dandelion. This one was actually okay. I can kind of understand why people wouldn't like it, because at a minimum it kind of creates these characters and just gives them powers, and it's like, it feels worse than X-Men, where when you sit down and think about X-Men powers, you know, you can forget about all the... No, actually, you should probably think of the super mind-bogglingly powerful mutants who are different because of a slight change in their DNA. It's like, it boggers belief if you understand how DNA works, and how, if that sort of thing could have actually happened, you probably would have had animals evolving mutant powers probably back a million years before humans ever showed up, if not billions of years. You know, if the universe was that easy to become interesting in, I suppose. So, all that aside, you know, X-Men, you kind of don't think about it, they kind of give an excuse, but they don't talk about it too much, and they just have fun with it, and I think this one was kind of similar. The powers aren't necessarily mind-boggling or awesome, but they're there, and some of them seem kind of iffy, but the series just decides to have fun with them as opposed to, trying to convince you that they are awesome. So, a lot of the entertainment from this anime, I'd say about half of it comes from them not having, or not from the power stuff, which is pretty good. Now, granted, it's not a perfect show in any regard, but at the same time, I kind of felt, as far as them as a family was concerned, for some reason they felt more family-ish than you would normally see when you just throw a dozen characters together. Especially since they also have their own kind of... I guess maybe it's how they all are their own independent people despite being part of the family sort of thing that kind of makes it. They don't exactly feel like friends. They feel like they are too in rhythm with each other, especially their favorite siblings or whatnot. You know, because like some of them are helping others through the events of this. I don't know. I just thought, compared to a lot of shows, like, I think, is it Sister Princess or was it Sister Sister? I can't remember the name of the anime. I just remember it was a guy who found out that he was like one of 13 children of some... Maybe it was a king or something, and he actually had a dozen sisters he didn't know about. You know, things like that. And that maybe that anime is showing a little bit of its age, but that family didn't really feel like a real family so much as a bunch of strangers put together, which is kind of what it was, but at the same time, the characters were trying to pretend like it was a family, even if it wasn't necessarily a family. And, you know, this one felt like it didn't fall into traps like that. And at the same time, they kind of give you an idea of a goal of where the anime is going to go over time. And, you know, it's not an enthralling story, and they do throw some conflict in there for the sake of conflict. But overall, it was actually a pleasant anime. A really good background show. Like, you know, while playing Pokemon, because, you know, a lot of amusing things happen here and there. The character personalities are amusing. Unlike other things I've been complaining about, they're not particularly abusive to each other. They're family, they're trying to look out for each other, so it doesn't have to bog itself down with, oh, well, let's punish this guy because some cute girl likes him, or something like that. And it was actually a lot of anime, because a lot of anime to watch, considering that I was completely busy this past week. But I also watched Finding Dory, and it's okay. It's definitely not Wall-E tier, maybe not even quite the first Finding Nemo tier show. But it's still very nice. You know, Pixar tells a neat story, and I guess the thing that I feel maybe hampered it a bit was the pacing of events kind of had to happen a little bit quicker. You know, the characters, you know, themselves, their own movements were pacey, whatever, in Finding Nemo. But this one, it's kind of like she has a realization, she has a certain place to go, and I kind of understand there's kind of a writer problem there where they kind of need to move fast without having this oh, my son's been kidnapped, I have to find him motivator from the first story. So it moves a little quickly, a little quicker than it feels like it should, I guess. And it means the character development of the octopus also felt a little maybe not convincing, I guess. I don't know. It's also possible that the scenario that they ended up in is also one that necessitates doing stuff, because you can't really sit and think about stuff when there's constant problem solving to be happening. And you know, I think overall it didn't make it even a mediocre movie. It was actually still pretty good, but I think all of these things just bring it down a little bit. I mean, they're probably not as good as the first movie, but it's not as good as the first movie in the way that you wouldn't want to watch it. This is the kind of thing where you'd want to watch it because it feels pretty different. I mean, I guess maybe both of them are kind of the importance of family sort of movies, but they're kind of tackling it from different angles. Yeah, I guess, because I guess the idea here is kind of the importance of family from the point of view of missing family, but where Finding Nemo was the family taken from you, this one is kind of the other way around, where it's you got lost from your family. So if Finding Nemo had been completely about Nemo's side of it, that may have been conceptually similar to this, but it also wasn't necessarily that, because Nemo was just given a problem that he needed to immediately solve, and I'm trying to remember how long after that came the finale. Anyways, Finding Dory, pretty good. Anything else? I guess nothing else comes to mind. It's, of course, Thanksgiving week, and there was a part of me considering recording videos of cooking stuff, but I guess it gets kind of problematic if it's not going to just be me, which it usually isn't, I guess. This year I think it's a different friend than it was last year, but that's because that other friend now has family moved back into town, so that's good for him. But I guess it means that y'all don't get the chance to see any of it. Not that it's complicated, because I only stick with a handful of dishes that I really think Thanksgiving really needs. And turkey, of course, is the important one, but I go with a simple butterball turkey breast roast cooked in a slow cooker. You know, because the turkey breast roast can fit in there. The slow cooker does a thorough job of cooking it. And if you add, like, I add apples, sliced Pink Ladies, which are a type of crispin apple, so if you don't have access to Pink Ladies, you can always just get crispin. They're very sweet, but slightly sour apples, so they're really good, really juicy, really good for getting a lot of stuff in there. It messes up the sauce so that doesn't turn into gravy, but that's why you have other gravy, I guess. Which means I guess you got a lot of stuff extra afterwards. So it depends on if you want to eat every part of the turkey or not. But the point is, you know, turkey's simple with mashed potatoes. I mean, I guess a coworker was talking about mashed potatoes with the skin on, but I always take the skin off for mashed potatoes here, because unlike every other kind of potato where I prefer the skin on, this one is about creating this pure, creamy, white, buttery, delicious thing. And you know, you just do that with real potatoes. It's just 40 minutes cooking. Make sure when the fork goes in there, it feels like you're putting it in a cooked potato and not an apple. Simple as that, right? Biscuits, just flake layers, grand butter, milk, whatever. You know, I mean, I don't think the biscuits need to be too extravagant in my case. Let's see, for cranberry stuff, I just make a smoothie. And of course I'm going to make pumpkin pie the day before, which reminds me, after this video I need to take the whipped cream out of the freezer so it starts thawing. So what else? I don't know. Thanksgiving. You know, I just stick to some core dishes. About the only thing I'm missing is something sweet potato, and I guess I'm okay without that part of it. That's the more desserty part, but that's where pumpkin pie is the love of my life. So, I don't know. I guess no recorded videos there. I guess I mentioned I'm playing Pokemon Moon, so for anybody curious there, I chose Rowlet, and yes, I did decide... Oh, as for how far I am, okay, I haven't made much progress. I only finished the second trial. I keep letting little big projects distract me along the way, like getting the event Munchlax and kind of realizing this will be the first normal type I'm probably going to have on my team since forever, because he does a really good job of catching Pokemon. Because the event Munchlax has Hold Back, which is basically a pounding version of False Swipe, which is pretty awesome. And then he also, when he's a Snorlax at level 20, learns Yawn, so he can put Pokemon to sleep, which makes him really good for putting them to sleep. And then he's fucking Snorlax. That, and it'll be interesting to see him pancake enemies once I get that thing. But let's see. I also decided to get a level 9 Salamence. I mean, it would have been level 9 through the 12, but you know, that's just insane. I've never thought about, oh, I'll have a underleveled, fully evolved Pokemon on my team. That would be awesome. And getting that is definitely a very time-consuming process. But he really completes the team. He just adds type coverage that every other Pokemon on the team wasn't providing. You know, I'm looking for some good type coverage stuff. So, you know, that's some of the stuff in there. Trying to think if there's anything else worth mentioning other than the fact that, you know, again, I keep getting stuck at things, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, well, I know somewhere around here I can fish and get a Feebas, and while I don't intend to have a Feebas in my party, I love Milotic, and I'm probably going to IV breed and EV train a Milotic, so better catch a Feebas now. Unless I want a special ability. Well, I'm not going to worry about that too much because I need to make utility Pokemon to make all of that work out well. Snorlax does a really good job of it. Good old Snorlax. Too bad he didn't have leftovers when I caught that Salamence. It would have made that part a lot easier. Far less item consuming, but I don't know. I'm going all over the place. That's all the updates. So y'all have a nice week.